for all the talk about the Robert Kraft and Drew Bledsoe and Tom Brady relationship, and Brady was like another son to him, so was Drew. And you run that forward, Mac Jones was described the way at times. This just seems to be how Robert Kraft is with his starting quarterbacks.
Mm-hmm.
Now, a lot of people are pointing at that and criticizing Kraft and saying, oh, Kraft, he was meddling too much. He got in the way. He got in the way, and Bill was trying to start Brady and blah, blah, blah. But he didn't get in the way. He says it there at the end. It's not in my best interest to tell Bill who to start.
Mm-hmm.
And people are holding it against him that he said he would fire Bill if it didn't work out. Yeah, benching your $100 million quarterback for a 6th-round pick, if that doesn't work out, that is a fireable offense. It did work out, and that's a testament to Bill Belichick's brilliance. But people saying like Robert Kraft's going to ruin the organization for a quarter, I wouldn't go that far. I don't know, but it is clearly something where there is a connection between him and the quarterbacks, and maybe that is something we apply for it when we look at a guy like Mac Jones.
Yeah, I mean,
or we look at a guy like Bailey Zappi.
You have to look at the whole situation in total at the time. They were 5-13 with Drew Bledsoe. I mean, excuse me, yeah. Well, Belichick overall was 5-13, but they were 5-11 season. You start off, I think you were 0-2. Drew goes down, he comes back, and then you say, nope, he's not playing again. We're going to start a 6th-round pick quarterback. First game is against the Rams, who was a very good team. He throws the interceptions, and the fans are booing everybody in the building. Why wouldn't Kraft be like, you know what? And he didn't say who. He said people were coming to him, telling him to go talk to Bill. So, I mean, it wouldn't be a shock if he would have fired him. And I don't think at that point in time, Belichick, people were looking at it through the lens of 2024.
Right.
Belichick in 2001 didn't have the resume that warrant him not to be fired after doing something like that. It would have been an easy move, and everybody would agree with it. If you see, when they showed all the national stuff, it was like, yo, this is the dumbest coaching decision I've ever seen in my life. This is what they were saying at the time. But it worked out for him. But for them to possibly get fired after that, I don't think it would have been a shock, and I don't think a lot of players in the locker room would have been against it. It was an unheard of decision that, like you said, it happened to work out, and it worked out in the best way possible for 20 years.
It's funny because what we're basically learning is, I think a lot of the doc focuses in the whole thing, and if you've read the book, and we talked to Jeff Benedict, the author, last week, focuses on the relationship and relationships between Kraft, Brady, and Belichick. And what you had was an owner who's maybe at times too soft on the quarterback, or soft's not the right word, but you have an owner who's maybe too quick to take the quarterback side. You have a coach who just has no interest in making things easy on his quarterbacks. And then in the middle of that, you had the greatest quarterback of all time for 20 years. And it really, the dynamic is maybe more fascinating than we ever realized. I do think it was interesting in them talking about it, though, that Bill said Brady was more accomplished in their offense. Bledsoe had been an All-Pro. Bledsoe had led the team to a Super Bowl. Now, I know they had a great defense, but Brady hadn't played. And now, it'd be one thing if he said, because Bill Belichick chooses words carefully. It would be one thing if he had said, yeah, we felt like we had and this is Bill talking 2024, so they're, you're looking back on it, but it would be one thing if Bill had said, yeah, we thought we had a better chance with Brady. Like, yeah, that's why you played him. It was interesting that he called him more accomplished, because by most major measurements, he wasn't. So that was clearly Bill, I think, just clearly talking about practice and what he was seeing behind the scenes, which, I don't know, I thought that was a really interesting part of it.
It was, and I think it was Phil Perry-Curran made the point the other day that it was a new offensive coordinator, and because it was new, they both had almost equal amount of time playing in it. Brady was groomed in it. Drew was new to it, and it kind of, I don't know if that's the dynamic he was talking about through practice, through camp. And you see some of the other guys. I can't think of the guy's name right now. Oh, Bill's buddy,
Ernie Adams.
He was saying how they were telling ownership Drew can't move anymore, and they were showing the highlights of all the bad hits he was taking. And I forgot what he compared him to, but they were pretty much saying that we think we should make this move anyway because he's just not the same type of quarterback. He can't move. He's going to take a lot of shots. He's not the same guy. He's an excellent downfield thrower, whereas Brady kind of does what they want him to do underneath. And they kind of hinted around that he might be their guy anyway. And Bledsoe getting hurt just gave them the opportunity, and that's why they stuck with it. But for him, the biggest thing for me was sticking with Brady after that Rams game. To me, I'm watching it almost like it was 2001 all over again. Like, yo, there's no way he can go back to Brady after that. And for him to stick with him after that, with Bledsoe clearly having an attitude, sitting right next to Tom Brady in some of those interviews was hilarious. But I think that was a bold move, and that took a lot of nerve to do that, and it ended up working out.
What were your other favorite parts of the first 2 episodes?
For one, them checking. Did you notice they checked Bledsoe's pulse when he was on the ground? I didn't notice that. There
were some shots of that. It was interesting because some of the shots, I've seen those Super Bowl DVDs over and over and over. Especially when I was a kid, I used to watch them. So some of those camera shots, like I know, and I can hear the quotes from the Super Bowl DVD when I see them elsewhere. There were some shots. I didn't know how much new file footage they were going to have. There were some things we saw behind the scenes like I'd never seen before, and I don't think have been out there, if they have been, not extensively.
Yeah, it reminded me of the Bulls, the Bulls documentary on ESPN where it was just, you thought you knew everything and then you realized you knew nothing. But I thought the way they made the footage of the old games just pop in 4K, I thought that was pretty cool. They look very modern. Just a lot of the detail and some of the gameplay stuff was going on. I thought the way they broke down the Raiders game, the Tuck Rule game was pretty cool.
Yeah.
It just brought it all back full circle. I thought it was very entertaining.
All the Bledsoe stuff was fascinating, and I'm somebody growing up who was a fan of Bledsoe, but to hear, his viewpoint on everything that happened, I don't know that he's ever spoken that in depth about it. His wife's viewpoints on it, more of Bledsoe. Yeah. The fact that he called Bill on the way home from the hospital to tell him he was cleared, I just thought was funny. Just like, I mean, Bill probably knew, but like, and then Bill's like, all right, just get here. We'll figure it out. Again, which is an early sign of that. He's just not going to – remember this year we had that whole thing about, is he really telling people in the building who the starting quarterback is?
Yeah.
Oh, he wouldn't even tell the starting quarterback who the starting quarterback was. So some early indications of that. I thought the nostalgia factor was great, though. Ernie Adams was outstanding.
Yes, he was.
Ernie Adams was great. I'll live with the shot at the media. I don't care. That was awesome. I enjoyed that. Yeah. I thought to me, actually, there was a tie for the 2 best, like most entertaining people. Ernie Adams, Ty Law is freaking hilarious.
Yeah, he was.
He
was real. They were brutal. All the defensive guys were brutally honest. Like, whatever, dude.
No, but then the whole thing where he's like, they should bronze Adam Vinatieri's foot and put it on the front of a car. He's great. He just brings a great energy. He was good. Brewski and Willie McGinnis and on offense, but Damian Woody talking about, Brady got up and gave a speech, and we were like, who's this kid?
Yeah, him drinking with the offensive line,
right?
All that stuff.
Oh, the stuff about him where he's living in that apartment and
playing Tecmo Bowl and streaking naked.
Relatable. He's just hanging out with his buddies playing video games. I've been there.
Yeah, very relatable. The whole thing. I mean, but some of the situations I never thought about, like them reversing the Tuck Rule call. And Adam Vinatieri immediately saying he got nervous because now he knows, like, oh, snap, this is on me now. Like, it just all those little things I never thought about.
Him talking through the whole kick was great.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed it. It was really well done. Again, I'm not one who's as much, and I know we're up against it here, Ryan. I'm not one who's as much for the drama of it. The Spygate episode's going to annoy me. The Brady exit episode's going to annoy me. This is what I tuned in for. This is what I wanted. Just give me the nostalgia.
Yeah.
Just give me the nostalgia. That's all I want. So these episodes were probably more tailored to me, but I very much enjoyed them.